you. It is me, Taria. I am here uh, as a young lady, as a mature lady, sharing wisdom and experience on how did God do that. Like I say, this is not to replace anything, your church or anything like that. This is just some wisdom and some experience that I get to share, that I get to do it. So yeah, this is how God do that. And today, by being Wednesday, I want to share a little bit about surrender. And I know for me, at first that was a big word. It was a big ask, A-S-K, and it was something that I thought was going to disrupt what I wanted to do. And it absolutely did. But in the best way. Um, I didn't get to surrender just like jump off surrender. I got to surrender by first being tired of myself, being sick and tired of myself, being sick and tired of the consequences that I was getting from the choices that I was making, and from pretty much trying everything else. I mean, you tried everything. You tried everything. You tried everything. You tried everything. They said 5 steps to this, 10 steps to this. If you want this, you're going to have this. Um, you know, create a life you love. You can have whatever you want. All of the things. And for me personally, and I don't know what it would be like for everyone, but there may be someone who has come to the end of themselves. Um, and I'm so thankful that I did do that. I got to the end of myself, and I didn't want Taria leading this this journey anymore, or piloting. I was the pilot, and God was my co-pilot. And that's not how my life was supposed to be. My life was supposed to be God as the pilot, and He will give me the desires of my heart. And He placed those desires there. So surrender came after a lot of struggle, after a lot of fear, after a lot of doubt. And I first had to, first of always, like I always say, I had to have that relationship with God. I had to have it. Because it's hard to navigate in these spaces when you don't really understand or have some semblance of who God is. So I had to start the relationship, which I had been having, but this is like another level. And so got more serious about my relationship. That was spending time reading, writing, prayer. And once you get to surrender, you've been doing all of those things probably quite a while. So it was that, and then I utilized my faith. And we say we utilize faith, and so I went in and out with faith. I would give it to God, and then I would take it back. I would give it to God, and I would take it back. And so in that, it kept me on a roller coaster. And then in that, I got sick and tired of myself. And so at one point, I just said, I just gotta go all in. And that was probably in the early 2000s. And God does things in increments. He just doesn't jerk the rug from under you. So these kind of things happen in increments where my faith was increased, and increased and increased. And then I'd take it back because it was like, no, I don't think you can do this. Then I would increase and increase and trust God a little bit more. And then I would take it back. So then, you're doing that. I was doing that. And then it got to a point to where I'm just thinking, because like I said in earlier videos, I do have dreams and visions, and God has shown himself in that way to me. So, but early on when that was happening, it was like, everybody don't do this, it was a lot going on. So to get to the surrender, I just made up in my mind. Yeah. And God set me down too, and allowed a situation to be where I had no recourse but to trust him. It was like how, things were slowly being pulled out of my life, like my safety nets were being taken away. And it wasn't a taken away like we think in human ways. It was a taken away in like you do a child with a pacifier. I'm going to take this pacifier away from you because in the long run, you're not going to need it, but I need you to trust me that you can do well without this pacifier. I got you. So it's kind of like that. It was kind of like how a parent would do a child when they say, you got to get this shot. It's just going to hurt for a little while, but you got to get it so you can feel better. It's like that. Like a child-parent love. But I was used to taking care of myself. So it took me a minute to give that up. Taking care of myself. And so I surrendered. Because basically, to be honest, I didn't have no recourse. I didn't have no recourse. And I thank God for it. And I think sometimes on my spiritual journey, and I'll just keep it on me because I don't want nobody to look at my spiritual journey and think theirs is going to follow that same pattern. Like I always say, these are principles. This is just a little bit of backstory of how God did that. This is a little bit of, maybe that's why, all of that. But you have your own journey with God. You have your own relationship with God. And he's going to work with you accordingly to your relationship and to what you know and your experiences with him and what he knows you can handle. So in that surrender, it was just like I was so tired of kicking these brick walls with open-toe shoes on and doors being closed in my face and I can't open them, and you go in here and they say no, and you go in there and they say no. So all of this was going on the outside of me, which is what I thought I should be doing because I had been taking care of myself. So I thought. So once I just like dropped my shoulders and just like surrendered, it was when I moved here to Dallas in 2000. And what that was like was very confusing at first, but it kept me in his word. It kept me in prayer. It kept me asking questions. It kept me seeking his face. Even in the tears, I'm wondering what's going on, Lord. Why is it this way? I've never experienced anything like this before. But it was that persistent walking with God, and then he'll give me a little light. And then I'll walk with him a little bit more. He'll give me a little bit more light. So it wasn't like this long period of torture. No, God doesn't torture. It wasn't that. It was You learn a little bit more about him, and then you kind of let something go. And then you let it go, and then you don't go back and get it. And then you continue to let it go. And it's like, I surrender to you, God. I trust you. I know your word won't return void. I've never seen the righteous forsaken nor a seed begging bread. I'm writing. I'm thanking him in advance. I'm giving him glory and gratitude for what I do have, that I wasn't homeless. I wasn't hungry. I wasn't in the cold. So all of this is a part of the surrender, of my surrender. And like I said, then I would get a little light. Just him like winking at me like, I got you. And then I'd have to surrender something else. And it's like, whew. And then I didn't go back and get it. And then God would we would continue to stay in his word, continue to trust him, to continue to seek his face, continue to surrender my heart and my will and my way, in my writing, in the way that I treat people, in integrity, in character, in trust. And so you move out of faith into trust because he's shown you now that he can be trusted. And so every day there is some type of surrender in the renewing of my mind, in the being honest about my heart. And then at a point you'll get to surrender your heart to God and let him be able to go inside of your heart and just show you things about yourself that you didn't know about yourself, whether that be jealousy, doubt, unbelief, unforgiveness, love, not loving like I can, all of that, impatience. You learn patience in your surrender because God doesn't come when I want him to. He comes when it's best for me. He comes when it's his time, his perfect timing. And so in all of this, then your relationship starts to grow with God. And, I started to like, oh my God, you really do love me. You really do care about me. And this is for my good. And this is for the good of my soul. And then this is what I get to allow, what he allows me to share with others, his glory. It's always for our good, but it's an unlearning from where we have been conditioned. So surrender is a step-by-step process, but just for me, and know that God is not here to harm us or to get us back, or we're going to be uncomfortable. And I think that's something that we think when we walk with God, we're not going to be uncomfortable. But any of the greats that we read about in the Bible, they were uncomfortable. They had days when they didn't know if they could, go on like I've had. They didn't know if they were really hearing from God. Sometimes I've had those days. So don't get caught up in believing that you can have whatever you want when you walk with God. He will give you the desires of your heart. But when you get to a point in the surrender, you don't really want whatever you want. Because that's what got you to surrender. You were doing everything that you wanted to do. So you will be uncomfortable. You will have questions. And you're going to have questions that only God can answer. But that's what you do in your quiet time. That's what you do in your reading and your writing and your journaling. Is get those questions answered. And then you'll get to a process where you'll know that, oh, he gonna answer you. He gonna answer you. You'll get revelation knowledge in surrendering. Not everybody wants this walk with God. Not everybody chooses God. And that's okay. That really is okay. There were so many people in the Word that they didn't want Jesus. They just didn't. And when Spirit gives you free will, that's how it is. And so I don't want to be the one to try to push anybody to surrender or do it like this or do it like that, or the Word say that. Not everybody wants it, and it ain't for everybody. This is a I always say, walking with God ain't for punks. It's just not. So ask God to, if it be your will, if it be His will and your desire, to have that relationship with Him like that, where you surrender. It's one of the greatest gifts. It's one of the most fulfilling and rewarding and liberating, and it's freedom in walking with God. It's peace in walking with God. It's His unconditional love with walking with God. It's grace in walking with God. It's confidence that He can give you. All of those attributes of Him is what He gives you in surrender. You're not trying to compare yourself to anybody. You're not trying to measure up. You just really come to a peace and a knowing that your worth is not based on anything external. Your worth is based on being made in His image and likeness. And when you surrender, it's the greatest, y'all. I wouldn't have it no other way. Even though I done been down in some valleys. I done been down in some valleys, you hear me? But then I done been at some mountaintops too. It ain't just about the valley. God will take you to the mountaintop too. It's just nobody really shared with me the process that it could be, and the pinching and the ouchies that come along with it. Because really, when you think about it, I'm unlearning things that I thought was true. So the outer man wants to hold on to that. You know, your ego wants to hold on to that. Your natural man wants to hold on to that because that's what's comfortable. That's what they know. That's what it knows. And so God comes along and disrupts that. Disrupts that way of thinking. Disrupts that way of speaking. Disrupt what's in my heart that I thought was true. So, but it's a beautiful love. It's a beautiful dance. It's a beautiful knowing. It's a beautiful confidence. It's a beautiful peace. It's a beautiful trust. It's everything, y'all. It really is. I can't lie. I can't lie. It's beautiful. So if there's something that you've been thinking about, surrender and how it can be done and what would it entail, and you'll probably be a little afraid. Well, I was a little afraid, but I had come to the end of myself, so I was just like, dang it, I'm gonna go all in. I'm finna go all in. So that's the word for today. I pray that this will be a blessing to one or many, whatever God desires. And I love you. And enjoy your day and your week. All right, baby. I love you. Bye-bye.